From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, February 17th. You will feel the sting of winter today. Single-digit temperatures and below zero wind chills. It's cold enough to keep this week's snow in place. As we brace for more, highs will get to the low 20s, and we could see some peaks of sunshine before snow chances return for our afternoon. And the weather is forcing dozens of county health departments to scramble after the weather forced COVID-19 vaccine clinics to close. This morning, the rescheduling begins. Hamilton County health officials say more than 200 people are in the process of changing their appointment. That number only accounts for one site at the Hamilton County Fairgrounds. Emergency Preparedness Coordinator Christian Walker says the snowstorm will have a much larger impact on scheduling across the state. He says anyone with appointments at the fairgrounds should be contacted by today at the latest to reschedule for Saturday. People with appointments at other sites in the county should call 211. He says the weather could have made things much worse, but because of President's Day and the possibility of the major snowstorm, the State Department of Health adjusted vaccine shipments, kind of got ahead of that. Walker says Hamilton County was able to get doses on Friday instead of Monday, and since there was plenty of notice, there were no vaccines wasted.
We're good for the next, I believe it's 2 weeks is what we have right now on hand, so we should be okay. And hopefully that'll give them some time to work through those glitches.
The vaccine clinic at Franciscan Health Indianapolis reopened at 7 this morning. It will stay open until 7 this evening. Patients must be registered with the state of Indiana or through 211 for an appointment time. You must also have an ID to get the vaccine. Also, the COVID-19 screening site will resume operations today. Patients must have a physician order to be tested. In Marion County, several people did reschedule appointments due to the weather, but those who showed up got the shot. If you're waiting to hear about a new appointment today in Hamilton County, just be on the lookout for information from the health department. The Biden administration says 13.5 million vaccine doses are now going out to states each week. Currently, most are administered through local health departments, but the administration also announced shipments to local pharmacies will double to 2 million doses starting this week. And Biden is pitching his plan, hitting the road in hopes of selling his $1.9 trillion coronavirus aid package to Americans. Speaking with CNN during his first town hall as president, Biden took questions from the audience, which was made up of people who voted for him and some who did not. Biden discussed the possibility of upping teachers on the priority list to help schools reopen faster. There has been a push in Indiana from the teachers union to get those teachers shots sooner. He also committed 1 million vaccines a week to community health centers in areas hardest hit by the pandemic. The president went on to share when he thinks the general public will be able to get the vaccine.
By the end of July, we'll have over 600 million doses, enough to vaccinate every single American. If you're eligible, if it's available, get the vaccine.
Speaker Pelosi has said she would like the bill to clear the full House by the end of the month. The Biden administration is extending the federal moratorium on foreclosures and evictions through at least June 30th. The move will protect homeowners who face losing their homes because of pandemic struggles. A recent Census Bureau survey shows more than 8 million people are behind on mortgage payments. The new move does not cover renters. The administration indicated it may extend protections for them soon. And during a CNN town hall last night, a mother told Biden how her children often asked her about whether they'll die from catching COVID-19. Biden spoke directly to her daughter about not being fearful of the virus.
Have you been in school, honey?
No.
No. See, that's kind of a scary thing, too. You don't get to go to school. You don't get to see your friends. And so what a lot of kids, and big people, too, older people, their whole lives have sort of changed like when it used to be. You used to be able to just go outside and play with your friends and get in the school bus and go to school and everything was normal. And now when things change, people get really worried and scared. But don't be scared, honey. Don't be scared.
Biden also explained to the girl that the evidence shows children are not the people most likely to get coronavirus. A local company develops a possible solution to the challenges of mass COVID-19 testing. It's a very small tube with a swab inside. It's dry, doesn't go far up your nose, and has a barcode on the side for patients' information. meaning the possibility for mass, fast, and inexpensive COVID-19 testing. Plus, the Indiana lab that created this is making a global impact. Hannah Mordeau reports.
Sometimes the solutions to problems can be very simple.
Jamie Elliott is a master of simplifying the complex.
Stairs to the lab.
He's the founder and CEO of Quantigen Biosciences in Fishers, and this is the lab's latest development.
So something that is much like a Q-tip is much easier to manufacture.
And easier for everyday people to use.
A patient like you or myself could swab our nose on our own. We don't have to go deep.
The tube has a barcode to hold patients' information. It's dry inside, but labs can add liquid and use an automated process to run tons of tests at once, meaning this mission
Develop a very high throughput and very inexpensive process for COVID testing.
could be the end of testing on only symptomatic people through a slow lab process. Instead, mass-scale asymptomatic testing. For example, on all school children, which would be about 60 million tests a week.
Amenable to that ultra-low cost, super high throughput. By that I mean in excess of, say, 100,000 samples a day at a site, such that you can get to that scale needed to get really good, robust return to work and return to school programs.
The lab started developing the swab and tube device with funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation back in the spring, while also running diagnostic COVID-19 tests for Indiana's health department and doing research on other diseases. Still, they developed this in a matter of months.
So the pace has been just amazing. That means that things like branding and naming have taken a bit of a backseat.
The no-name swab and tube could be in pilot programs across the country in the next 2 months and brings potential to Indiana. Indiana could be the next bioscience home.
It absolutely should be.
Quantigen hopes their success can pave the way for the industry to move to the Midwest and help get all of our lives back to normal.
It's solutions like these that will, I think, change the landscape from where we were pre-COVID.
Quantigen plans to double in size this year, adding about 35 jobs, and hopes that this COVID test will be implemented soon. Calls for changes at Newfields are growing louder this morning. 85 staff members and stakeholders drafted a letter with what they call critical demands. It's in response over a recent job posting that called for maintaining the museum's traditional core white art audience. The 4 demands are that the organization's president, Dr. Charles Venable, steps down, the termination of the contract with the search firm, a restructuring of the Human Resources Department, and a reevaluation and expansion of the museum's board committees. The letter is posted anonymously on Twitter. Its first line reads, "We are writing to express how deeply disheartened we are by Newfield's continued lack of leadership in addressing racial equity." According to the letter, staff spent 4 hours listening to senior leadership try to explain the job posting and their plans, only to leave feeling more distrustful and confused. A petition gathered more than 1,800 signatures demanding that the museum becomes a more inclusive organization. Artist S. McKee signed it. She says she wants to see a change in who is representing the museum and the community.
I feel like the voices that make the decisions there should actually represent and look and sound like what our community looks and sounds like.
McKee says she does not plan to return unless Newfields makes changes. Petitioners are also asking the city of Indianapolis to develop a citywide equity clause. The city responded saying equity and inclusivity remain core values for Indianapolis. Members of the Indiana House are next to consider a bill to toughen the state's laws on protests and rioting. It passed in the Senate 37-8. The bill would allow criminal charges against anyone involved in an illegal protest where someone else commits a crime. The legislation is a response to the riots in downtown Indianapolis last year following social justice protests. Supporters of the bill say it would protect businesses. Opponents call it an effort to prevent peaceful protests. And in an interview you'll only see on News 8, you can find it on wishtv.com as well, an Indianapolis man who was shot during a pizza delivery tells us what happened.
It's ridiculous. I mean, people out here doing stuff like this. I mean, he had no reason to shoot me. None whatsoever.
Brent Ham works for an East Side pizza shop. He says someone ordered a delivery to a house near 39th and Park Avenue Sunday night. The house turned out to be vacant, and police say the delivery call was a robbery setup. Ham says he refused to hand over his money, so the robber shot him, once in the stomach and once in the wrist. A woman who lives nearby rushed to help and used a towel to help stop the bleeding. Ham says that woman saved his life, and he thanked her as soon as he got out of the hospital yesterday.
If it wasn't for that lady, I would have bled out and died. Hindsight's 20/20, you know? I probably should have just gave it to him. Maybe I wouldn't have got shot.
Ham says he will be back on the job tonight. Police are now asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers. Former President Trump is slamming a once political ally. Trump's Political Action Committee released a statement in which he calls Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell a political hack. In Trump's words, McConnell is destroying the Republican side of the Senate and in doing so, seriously hurting our country, and that McConnell will never do what needs to be done or what is right for our country. Trump also warns that if the party stays with McConnell, it will lose. Trump's words come just days after McConnell voted against convicting the former president in his second impeachment trial. McConnell did state that Trump is responsible for the Capitol Hill insurrection, though. He also suggests that Trump could face criminal prosecution for the riots. Millions of people in Texas are waking up still in the dark.
The current conditions continue to be dire as pertains the power.
It's been nearly 2 full days since historic snowfall and freezing temperatures knocked out utilities, causing problems for the electrical grid.
Now, the difficulties that this has imposed on citizens of Texas, everybody in the state, have been enormous. And certainly, we need to look at what has happened here once we get everybody back online, which is the number one priority.
The Electric Reliability Council of Texas directed utilities in the state to implement rolling blackouts to ease the burden on the power grids. The council manages the flow of power to more than 26 million customers in Texas. Officials warn customers to be prepared for extended outages. The National Weather Service reports more winter weather moving into the area over the next 3 days. The service shared a map of forecasted ice accumulation on Twitter. It shows much of the eastern part of the state seeing ice, with some areas expecting a ½ inch or more of ice. And the weather and power outages in Texas will impact us in Indiana. You'll notice a difference in gas prices. They're increasing across the country, possibly up to $3 a gallon. That's a price we haven't seen since 2014, and it's thanks to a strange brew of vaccines, economic optimism, and a wintry mix in the Deep South. Texas is the country's largest crude oil and natural gas producer. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the state is home to 30 refineries. That winter weather forced some of the largest refineries to shut down Monday and Tuesday, affecting up to 3 million barrels of oil each day, and that's after the oil industry has already scaled back production because of the pandemic. You've probably noticed the price at the pump creeping up recently. According to Gas Buddy, the national average sits at just above $2.50 per gallon. That's the highest level since last January. Typically, prices do increase 25 to 65 cents a gallon from late winter to Memorial Day. You do the math, and that has us knocking on that $3 per gallon door, and maybe just on up from there. This is a big reverse from a year ago when the price of the pump plunged as people stayed home at the start of the pandemic. And while the winter weather is keeping people across the U.S. home this week, and that will keep demand down a bit, the energy crisis triggered by the polar blast has shown no signs of easing up, and Gulf refineries could take weeks to get back online even after power is restored and pipes unfreeze. Natural gas futures also jumped this week, nearly 8%, which could translate to high utility bills as well. All right, now to business headlines. Indiana University has a new website to promote partnerships between business and academics. The idea is to match IU's research and skills with businesses. Professors, researchers, and students can take advantage of it. The website is partnerships.iu.edu. Some truckers are thriving as companies reset supply chains. Fox Business says companies including Old Dominion Freight Line, ArcBest, and Saia are expanding as businesses try to make their supply chains more nimble to catch up to rapidly shifting consumer demands. Operators in the highly competitive sector are benefiting as businesses scramble to meet surging e-commerce demand from shoppers who are ordering everything from paper towels to furniture online. U.S. passenger airline traffic fell 60% in 2020 to the lowest number since 1984. Of course, the pandemic was to blame. The U.S. Transportation Department says there were 368 million passengers in 2020, down from 922.6 million in 2019. Airlines for America, an industry trade group, said the 9 largest U.S. airlines lost $46 billion before taxes in 2020 and said that passenger volumes are unlikely to return to pre-COVID-19 levels before 2023 or 2024. Online hucksters may be selling Amazon reviews in bulk to help merchants manipulate the e-commerce platform's rating system. British consumer advocacy group Which found 10 websites offering review manipulation services that rely on vast networks of users to drum up positive reviews for Amazon marketplace sellers in violation of the site's policies. Amazon says it removed its Amazon's Choice badge from products that Which found had been pumped up by manipulated reviews. IHOP canceled its International Pancake Day celebration, so it'll be now offering the free pancakes in April instead. You can sign up now for the IOU for the pancakes on the IHOP website. All right, and now to some sports-related news. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is asking for cards and letters for one of its most beloved voices. Longtime broadcaster and PA announcer Bob Jenkins is dealing with brain cancer. You can send messages directly to the track. The address is 4790 West 16th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46222. Jenkins revealed his diagnosis yesterday in an interview with the track president. Jenkins has been one of the top voices in racing for more than 40 years through radio, TV, and his booming announcements for the speakers around the track. The interview is part of an IMS series called Behind the Bricks.
The first diagnosis was a stroke. The second diagnosis was we have found 2 malignant tumors in your right temple and you have brain cancer. But I had colon cancer in 1983 and I survived that. And with God's help and my beloved race fans, I'm going to make it.
Jenkins' wife, Pam, died of complications from brain cancer in 2012. Purdue is hoping to keep its momentum after beating Michigan State last night. The Boilermakers pulled away late in the game thanks to Travion Williams, who had 28 points. Purdue wins 75-65 at Mackey Arena. This is the second time beating the Spartans this season. Olivia Ray explains what head coach Matt Painter wants to improve on as conference play nears an end.
The Boilermakers entered their stretch run with their eyes on the prize. A double bye in the Big Ten tournament. Purdue inched closer to that with a 10-point win over Michigan State in a game that was reminiscent of their last meeting. Now Purdue continues to struggle offensively, shooting just 25% from three-point range, but they were able to grind this one out defensively and on the back of Travion Williams, who had a 28-point monster night here in Mackey.
If they're going to play us one-on-one with him, then, we have to be able to get deep post position and go right at him. And I thought Travion did a great job tonight and was consistent and, wanted the basketball. If you have something that's working, why go away from it?
Going into this game, Coach kind of harped on, me and Zach, being physical and, kind of putting those guys in the rim. So we wanted to come out with that mindset and, be dominant down low. We knew this game would come down to being physical, having to fight.
Coach Payne, the older guys on our team were just saying, it's always a battle with these guys. We knew that coming in. It was obviously a battle last time. But, it's tight games. You got to keep your composure.
The Boilers are now winners of 9 Big Ten games and moved to 14-8 overall. However, from a three-point perspective, something has got to fall for these guys in the month of February. They've hit just 5 of their last 29 triples attempted, and Purdue leaves the friendly confines to head to Nebraska this Saturday. For now, reporting from Mackey Arena, I'm Olivia Ray, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.